Deep in the heart of the foreboding mansion, within the room that time forgot, the cursed mirror stood. Its frame encrusted with intricate, serpentine patterns. Its glass, once pristine, now bore the scars of centuries, etched with the memories of those who had dared to peer into its abyss. None who gazed upon their own reflection in the midnight mirror could have foreseen the horrors that lay beyond. Sarah, a bold and adventurous spirit among her friends, was the first to approach the mirror. As her fingertips grazed its cold surface, she felt an electric chill course through her veins. Her own reflection stared back at her, but something was off. The eyes in the mirror, usually her vibrant green, were now obsidian pools of malevolence. A sinister grin stretched across her reflection's face, lips curling to reveal rows of needle-sharp teeth. The reflection moved independently of Sarah, its mocking laughter filling the room. Panic set in, and she tried to pull away, but her hand remained glued to the mirror. She screamed, her voice echoing through the mansion's desolate halls, drawing her friend's frantic footsteps. Mike, the skeptic of the group, arrived first. He watched in disbelief as Sarah's reflection began to warp and twist, escaping the confines of the mirror and manifesting in the room. It was a grotesque, shadowy figure with elongated limbs and bony fingers that reached out with a hunger for torment. The entity's voice was a discordant symphony of anguished cries and sinister whispers as it addressed them. Welcome, intruders. I am the keeper of reflections. The darkness within. You shall know the depth of your fears. Ariana, the group's sensitive artist, clutched her chest in terror, feeling her heart race. She had always believed in the supernatural, and now her worst nightmares seemed to be unfolding before her eyes. The entity, sensing her vulnerability, whispered nightmarish visions into her mind, causing her to collapse in a fit of hysteria. Mike and Jason, the steadfast protectors of the group, tried to intervene, but the entity's powers were overwhelming. It toyed with their deepest fears, conjuring ghastly apparitions of loved ones lost, each one pleading for release from torment. The friends were paralyzed, unable to escape the horrors that surrounded them. As the entity reveled in their fear, it took on different forms, shape-shifting into grotesque amalgamations of their most profound anxieties. Sarah saw her reflection's sinister grin morph into the face of her long-lost brother, his eyes hollow and accusing. Mike's own reflection contorted into the visage of his abusive father, who had haunted his nightmares for years. Jason was faced with the specter of a fallen comrade, blaming him for their untimely demise. Ariana, still trembling on the floor, tried to overcome her fear. She reached into her bag and pulled out a sketchbook and charcoal. With trembling hands, she began to draw, pouring her fear onto the paper, channeling it into a grotesque depiction of the entity. As the entity saw its own monstrous image take form on the page, it shrieked in agony, momentarily weakening its grip on the friends. With newfound determination, Mike and Jason grabbed Ariana's artwork and, with the last reserves of their strength, held it up to the entity. The creature convulsed, writhing in pain as if struck by lightning. It let out a blood-curdling scream that echoed through the mansion, causing the walls to tremble. The entity's form began to distort, its limbs contorting into grotesque shapes. It fought to maintain its grip on reality, but the combined willpower of the friends was too much for it to bear. With one final, ear-splitting wail, it was sucked back into the midnight mirror, vanishing in a vortex of darkness. The room was left in eerie silence. The horror that had consumed it now vanished. Sarah, Mike, Jason, and Ariana looked at each other, their faces marked by the ordeal they had endured. They knew the mirror's malevolent power had not been fully extinguished, but for now, they were free. Gathering their strength, they left the room and sealed the door behind them, ensuring that the midnight mirror would remain hidden, its curse dormant once more. Outside, the sun began to rise, casting its warm, comforting light upon the mansion. But the friends knew that the darkness would always be lurking within, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to stumble upon the cursed mirror. As they drove away from the mansion, they shared a collective sense of relief, knowing they had faced their deepest fears and emerged victorious. Their friendship, tested and strengthened by the horrors they had endured, would forever bind them together in a way that no mere mortal could understand. Little did they know that their encounter with the midnight mirror was just the beginning of a journey into the shadows, where their own inner demons and the malevolent forces of the mirror would continue to intertwine, creating a tapestry of terror that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. And so, the legend of the Midnight Mirror lived on. A whispered tale of horror passed down through the ages. A reflection of fear that could only be understood by those who had faced it and survived.